Today we're delving into a full conversation about the ever-evolving world of television formats. I guess are British TV shows becoming popular, more popular than ever?
Are they becoming, what do you mean by popular? Because that's a fairly vague term.
So I think right now what we're seeing is across sort of particularly the streaming platforms like Amazon, Netflix, etc. We're seeing a lot of the UK productions dominating those streaming services. So you've got things like James Bond, the James Bond films all on Netflix. You've got obviously Harry Potter, and you've got the new HBO Max series coming, or HBO, whatever they're called now. And obviously you have shows like Black Mirror, which is a great international success, which is of course uh, originally a British production. You got things like Doctor Who, which was boosted by the Disney deal that they had, and obviously
Okay.
before that, and probably now going forward, they probably are looking for string partners to push it sort of globally. I guess what would you say to that basically?
I'd agree with you that they're definitely more mainstream now in terms of, yeah, like Adolescence was a big show here in the UK. And
Hmm.
I imagine, didn't it win an Emmy? Or won
Yeah,
quite
something
a
like that. It won
big
quite a lot of
TV award in the
awards.
States. And yeah, as you said, that's Netflix. So I agree they're definitely more because there's a lot of like older BBC, or at least here in Britain, and not just
Hmm.
BritBox and stuff, which I know is quite popular in the States.
Yeah.
I think it's still there. I don't think it's on We Have It anymore. But I think it's still there. But yeah, I agree that there's definitely a lot British shows are a lot more mainstream. I've become more mainstream than American ones have been in the past because American shows have always been fairly well known here.
Yeah.
And I'd say, apart from maybe an odd few British ones, not so much. And now that's definitely changed due to streaming like Netflix, like Adolescence. Doctor Who was on Netflix, Black
Yeah.
Mirror, which is on Netflix at the moment. And yeah, as you said, it started off British, and now a lot of American actors have come, I believe. Anthony Mackie, who's the Captain America, has been on it. I think they're definitely, in terms of if they're more popular than ever, I don't know. I would agree that they're more mainstream and they're more
Hmm.
accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always been this perception. I mean, I go back to The Office as an example.
Mm,
Obviously, The Office was originally UK. It had
yeah,
two or three seasons. It was okay. It didn't do too badly. But then I can't remember in sort of within the cycle of the British Office, but the American Office started and basically did what the UK version did, but better. And that seemed to be like a theme, sort of, especially in the early 2000s, where you would have British shows that started off as British shows and then got an American version of it, and that became more popular. And I guess what we're
I
seeing
wouldn't
now
say
is
more
sort of
popular because there's an American version of The Inbetweeners. I don't think that did very well.
American spin-offs did better, generally speaking. Um,
I wouldn't say
but now,
the
obviously,
US office is a spin-off.
you know what I mean, like the country version of it. It was
Yeah,
originally
okay.
British, and then it became a version in a different country, or basically the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, The Office is an interesting example because yeah, there was the British version with Ricky Gervais,
hmm,
Stephen Merchant,
yeah,
and yeah, they were the
Martin
ones who
Freeman,
produced it.
Morgan, hmm,
Yeah, Martin Freeman before
yeah,
Sherlock and how he became a bigger name. Well, had quite a few bigger names who have now come to do all their separate things and known for other things.
yeah,
And yeah, it's like definitely I can't remember what the gap is between the like since the British one ended and the American one started because I think it wasn't long afterwards.
no, I don't think so.
And
Uh,
again, it's sort of the same kind of thing. It's like it spanned the careers of Rainn Wilson, John Krasinski, and I'm sure there's plenty of others. And again, yes, it's definitely the first season they remade a couple of the British episodes, but slightly differently. And I
yeah,
think even Ricky Gervais' David Brent occasionally popped up to like do a little nice nod to in the same world, universe, if you want to call it that.
Mm.
And I feel, as I said before, there has been an American version of British shows and vice versa, and they don't
Yeah.
tend to do, or usually they don't go amazingly well. And I think The Office is really lucky in that sense of it had a good like writing team because like Greg Daniels, who worked on some of the best episodes of The Simpsons, was like showrunner, and obviously he's a good comedy writer. And I think
Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well. Is that him?
I don't think so. I think a person who was on the producing team did do Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I don't think he was any part of it.
Okay.
And I think it's just because there's been other versions of this now, like the Australian one that wasn't on, and I think that got cancelled. And I remember that was on Prime when it released, and I
Yeah, it
can't,
was
and
on
I don't even
Prime.
see
Yeah.
it now.
No,
So I
I
also
don't
got
think
rid
you
of it very
can.
quickly.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess sort of in a way the tide is sort of turning, and the British shows are becoming more popularized in the global sort of market. I mean, you got things like the Great British Bake Off, which is a
Yeah,
format which has been taken from
yeah,
the
that's very
UK
popular.
into
There's a
other
yeah,
countries.
there's a what's it?
Probably
There's a,
MasterChef. I
Aus-
don't know where that
I think
originally was.
MasterChef has a couple of versions.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
like the
not sure if that was
voices.
originally British though.
No. MasterChef, I don't know about. I think it was. I was going to say The Voice, but that's not British originally either. I
No,
think we
that's
were
not
quite
British
late to
originally.
the.
But
I
again,
think we were
that's
quite late to the party on that.
yeah.
I think in terms of MasterChef, yeah, we were. The Great British Bake Off, I think we were as well. And
Mm.
there's been other versions. I think there's an Australian one, there's a
Yeah.
Canadian one. There's probably a couple of others that I don't know about.
I mean, you've also got like all the Simon Cowell stuff. So Country Got Talent, Britain Got Talent,
America's
America
got
Got
yeah,
Talent. Obviously, that those type of stuff would be obviously originally British because Simon Cowell is British.
yeah, yeah.
And obviously he sells those formats off.
Well, he was a part of both shows for a time.
Yeah, but he obviously sold the formats of
Oh yeah,
what he
maybe.
came up with to other
I don't think
countries.
that America's Got Talent is on anymore. But in terms of what you said earlier about it being, I guess, more globalized, I don't know. Because stuff like you said before, like James Bond, which is like a big movie franchise,
Yeah,
especially now, and that's been going for what 60 plus years now.
yeah,
So it's quite big. I don't know if I'd say that we dominate because yes, it's British, but there's not many Bond films actually set in Britain or in there for very long. He's usually off to whatever country.
yeah. But I suppose it's quintessentially British.
In terms of the character,
Yeah,
yes, he's very much a sort of typical British gentleman, maybe not gentleman necessarily, but he's sort of got that, smart suit, good looks
yeah.
kind
I
of
mean, but I
vibe.
guess that the point that I'm trying to sort of that we're coming across is if it weren't for the fact that it was on Amazon Prime, how else would you get it internationally?
DVDs. But
Yeah,
yeah, I get what you're saying in terms
in
of
in in an ever digitalizing world where not many people would probably own a CD player or whatever, how would you be able to access some of these British
yeah,
shows?
probably online or on streaming. Yeah, I agree. It's like, especially as you mentioned Harry Potter as well. I was like, that's sort of more quintessentially
Quintessentially
British.
British.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's set in Britain. A lot of the things are based on British sort of stereotype.
And obviously there could be a new TV show surrounding the Harry Potter,
Well,
well,
it's
the
not
Harry Potter
surrounding.
story
It
is the
is the
Harry
Harry
Potter
Potter
story.
story.
But again, that's going to be streaming first on HBO. But again, that's a British sort of show
Yeah,
that's going to be,
and I think with Harry Potter, they made sure, at least in the first movie, that they cast like most of the act, or at least the main ones, as British.
yeah,
And although that seems to be going down the wayside of the series, I think there's an American as Dumbledore and there's an American as McGonagall, I believe.
yeah, something like that.
But in terms of the most of the cast on that series is British.
Yeah, but like, so like, I mean, let's talk about Doctor Who for like just a second. Obviously,
Yeah,
recently it's had its Disney deal. It's popular worldwide, it is. And obviously, it being on Disney was even more worldwide than probably it has been ever before.
yeah,
Obviously, it's there's no longer a Disney deal. But I'm sure the BBC. or whoever will produce it next will want there to be like Amazon or Netflix or something, or even Apple TV to carry it forward into the new landscape.
Yeah, I definitely agree that they'll definitely go the streaming partner again, or at some point down the line for the next series if there is one.
Hmm.
But I think some of the problems with Disney was, yes, it was worldwide, but it was only those series.
Yeah,
And it sort of felt, at least from my perspective, because, in Britain, we had pretty much all the spin-offs, all the
everything.
one-off
Yeah,
things, like on Disney Plus. Not Disney Plus, BBC iPlayer, but on Disney Plus, you just had the 2 seasons. And it's like we had like the Tales of the TARDIS for the anniversary. They didn't get that. They
no,
haven't
I
even got
mean,
any of the past episodes when HBO years prior had that. It's just it kind of felt very. If they wanted it to be worldwide, they didn't do a very good job at it.
no, I mean, I guess it's difficult because obviously it's majority produced by the BBC, which is the British broadcaster,
Yeah,
and that comes out of, and we
yeah, I
pay
agree. I agree they shouldn't get
extra money
everything, but
for
I
it.
think they should have got more than they got.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, I think they tried to put as much as they could sort of on like YouTube as sort of a
Yeah,
workaround.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess sort of in that vein, is streaming, is there a streaming fatigue?
Is there
Because
a
we are seeing
streaming
the rise
fatigue?
of linear TV.
What do you mean by a rise? I'm just curious.
I think more and more people are watching, well, particularly I would say reality TV shows like uh, I'm a Celeb or Traitors on TV. More people are watching more stuff on TV. If some things are shown on TV, like The Simpsons is always on TV, then I think people will generally watch more on live TV rather than streaming.
I don't know if I'd agree on that.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but it's like, reality's always been popular.
Hmm.
Because even some Netflix shows have reality, or not Netflix, well, Netflix do, but a lot of
Yeah.
streaming have reality stuff as well. So in terms of, yes, it's a popular, and it's probably more popular or can be more popular than some of their dramas or stuff. But I don't know if I'd say it's a like linear TV kind of, because linear TV is more about like sort of the broadcasters,
Yeah.
which you could argue that streaming is now sort of becoming part of that, because in the end of the day, they are a version of a broadcaster.
Yeah. And I guess at some point, something that was on streaming will be on some weird channel on your TV.
Yeah, I think the problem streaming has now than it did before is, especially with Netflix, but I think the others are slowly following suit, is a lot of the original programs that was exclusive for them are gone. As in,
Yeah.
and sometimes you might see them on other streaming services, but usually once they're gone, it'll be very hard to find. And I think that sort of defeats the idea of streaming.
Mm.
But at the same time, it's like shows that they probably did years ago that no one bothers to see. So you could argue that if they don't see it, why is it there? It's just, wasting space.
Yeah. I mean, I guess streamers want to have, obviously they want the show to be popular and they want there to be a reason why it's still on the platform.
Mm. It's
So
like
people will still watch it
So what I
old
think linear TV
seasons.
does better, although you could argue it's still streaming, is like in their
Mm.
catch up. At least here in Britain, in their catch up,
Yeah.
it's like they've got box sets of old shows, and streaming does have some of that, but it's not the same.
No.
Or usually they'll have episodes missing,
Or it's only available for a certain time.
or that. So it's just, I think the landscape is now changing a bit. I think the problem is streaming's got a lot bigger in the
Mm.
well recent years, maybe lockdown and everything. I definitely think TV got bigger than it probably was, and I think the problem is that streaming's got up to, I don't want to say a peak, but it's got up to a bit where they're a bit, I guess, not stuck, but
There's
yeah,
definitely
stuck.
less being churned out.
I don't want to say less being churned out because there's still quite a bit every year, but I guess
Yeah.
they're not experimenting. If you say see what I'm saying. So like
Yeah. I mean,
Netflix in their early years, or once they got, they had the Daredevil show, there was Stranger Things, there were, I can't remember what else there was. There was different types of shows and different genres they were
Yeah,
they were experimenting, and now they're sort of like maybe there'll be a couple of that kind of thing, and then there'll be like a bunch of realities. They're not really. They found out what's popular, which is fine because that will
yeah,
happen. But they're not. There's not many experimental. If there is, they're gone.
yeah. There's
There'll
not
be,
much variety. Yeah, and I guess that's sort of what where the city make it maybe is
and I
because
think
yeah,
linear TV sort of. I think in terms of their catch up, it's done very well in keeping those kind of shows.
mm,
And it has definitely, but it's sort of copied that kind of thing where it knows what's popular and it's stuck to it.
yeah,
And well, at the end of the day, it's a competition, it's a business. They want to make money.
yeah,
It makes sense why they're doing that. But I think in terms of creativity, it's lacking, and eventually at some point people are going to be like, oh, it's the same show with a different skin. Or maybe some people are thinking that now.
yeah,
And you know, and I don't know if there's a showdown. Oh, I guess there is a little bit, but it's sort of in terms of competition, no one really sticks out, if you get what I'm saying. They're very
yeah.
much pieces of the same cloth.
I guess what would the next evolution of TV and film consumption be? Because obviously you got I mean more and more people are saying things like YouTube are the next big streaming platform. Because obviously you have lots of different creators. Obviously you got some creators just making a fun little video, but you got other creators actually making short films on there, and
Yeah,
you can also see films on there for the subscription price. So as more and more people are maybe tempted towards getting YouTube Premium, so they can maybe view more of these films and stuff.
yeah, I don't, I mean, you could argue YouTube is already a streaming service in some
Yeah,
capacity because, it's like what, one of the biggest social media, or one of the world's first social media platforms, basically.
yeah,
And yeah, I definitely, if you definitely, they are pop getting, well, they've always been big, but they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't know if I'd say that's the next evolution. I can see it being that then maybe, because if you remember, they used to have YouTube TV, which was part of the
yeah.
premium subscription,
Hmm.
which a lot of shows like Cobra Kai and well, I think that was the big one, which eventually, it got its final four. No, I can't even remember.
It's got a final seasons on
But,
Netflix.
they resolved it or they resumed it on Netflix.
Yeah,
And I think it could be the next evolution. I definitely think it's something to watch out for because it is getting bigger. And I think YouTube is definitely doing like a lot more sponsors on like
yeah.
shows and
It's
stuff like that. So I definitely agree
easy
that that might be
access.
part. Yeah, I definitely agree it might be part of it. But in terms of it being the next evolution, I don't know.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think the next evolution is definitely sort of ease of access and having lots of different creative voices make content easily sort of available online cheaply, quickly. Because obviously with a YouTube video you can record on a Monday, edit until Thursday and have it out on a Friday. That's an easy, quick turnaround. Some things might have a longer schedule, particularly if it's, getting actors to play parts and creating script and whatever, getting all the pieces of the puzzle together. But I think generally it's about the next evolution will be how do we make it more sort of, I guess, more easy to make content? How do you make content quicker and easier?
Okay, probably. Well, now you said that, I think YouTube will definitely be a big part of that.
I think other platforms, I mean, there are obviously other platforms like YouTube that exist,
Hmm.
but I think other platforms
Yeah, they're not
like
quite the
Apple
same as
TV
YouTube.
will maybe adopt more of that kind of style.
Yeah,
And I think more platforms like YouTube will exist. So in a way, YouTube has been ahead of its time for a while. And I think now people sort of realizing that maybe this is the next step.
been listening to Miles Ahead. Catch you next time.